my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Allie, and you are tuning in to my Stephen King week. It is actually September 21st as I'm filming this, so shout out and a happy birthday to Stephen King. Today is his birthday, and I believe I am posting a video today that's going to kickstart my Stephen King week, but this will probably be like the third vlog you see, and today is going to be a day in the life. I'm hoping to complete everything in one day. It is also a Sunday, so for us around here, it is Sunday reset, so you may hear my washer and dryer going in the background throughout clips. We are doing some laundry. James is making rotel, and it smells heavenly in the house right now. And this is usually the day of the week where I relax in between doing Sunday reset things, and I give my skin a break. So for you guys, for this video, I put on makeup 7th day in a row, and it's just gonna continue. And that's saying something because my face doesn't like me right now. I had a full-on day yesterday and literally have just been running on like a little bit of sleep since last Thursday, I believe. Yeah, I had a book event to go to. That video will be coming next week, I think. And I got my days wrong. It's kind of a last minute thing. So Wednesday night I didn't get a lot of sleep because of anxiety. Thursday night I had the book event, so I traveled late. Had to get up early the next morning, and it's just kind of been an ongoing thing. So I crashed last night, face of makeup and all, and yeah, I slept so hard. So I'm feeling good today, but yes, 7th day in a row of putting makeup on. I'm just like, I need to give my skin a break. But I'm excited to take you guys along with me as I read Stephen King's newest today, Never Flinch. I want to talk briefly about the history. You guys know, if you've been around on my channel, I love Stephen King. This is my Stephen King shelf. I've read a lot of his work, especially over the past few years, and just continues. I'm so excited to feature his newest book that came out this year, earlier this summer, for my Stephen King week, but I'm not gonna lie, I have been like itching to get to this one since James bought it for me, and I am a huge Holly Gibney fan. Not everybody is, and I understand that, but I love Holly. I feel like people who are turned off by this series are more so maybe the people that are not wanting the crime fiction from Stephen King, because although Holly is at the forefront of these stories, at the same time there's standalone crime stories going on in each of the books, and I love crime fiction. I grew up watching Law and Order and CSI and all of those different shows with my mama, and over the years she's even the one that's put me on to my James Patterson books and that type of crime fiction, and from there it's went even further. I love me some Karen Slaughter, and although I don't watch those type of shows too often anymore, sometimes me and James will watch an episode here and there of Criminal Minds. I'm still obsessed with them, and I feel like reading is now more of my outlet versus watching TV shows, so every once in a while I get the itch and I'm like, I need to read crime fiction. By no means are they my favorite. Horror will always top that. Even out of Stephen King's books, his horror tops all of the rest for me. These are just the type of books that I want every once in a while. So I was excited that even after the Bill Hodges trilogy and everything that he put into those books, I was so excited when Holly's story came back with more and more stories and kind of just sprinkled throughout the years, because you just kind of get a little bit of that crime fiction here and there in between all of his other work. I do not have the Bill Hodges trilogy to show you guys. And I'm very sad about this. I have been thrifting Stephen King for a couple of years now, and I love when I find his books just like out in the wild at like thrift stores and stuff like that, or used bookstores. And I do feel like the Bill Hodges trilogy is a series that I'm just going to have to pay in full and probably even more than what I would have if I would have bought them in that set years ago. But I do love a certain cover of them and a certain like spine of them, and I'm hoping I can get my hands on them at some point. But I will show you guys what the trilogy looks like. You have Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, and then End of Watch. And all of them are crime fiction, but this follows Bill Hodges, and he is a retired detective who is kind of coming back into the detective work because a certain case has haunted him for years and he never figured out who it was, and that person is taunting him now. And that kind of starts the series, and then going into the second book, we've already met Holly and some other characters that will continue throughout. They open up a private investigator type of business, think almost like Veronica Mars. And maybe that's why I loved it, because I love Veronica Mars, always have. But anyways, they work together on different cases, and they get a case in the second book through that, and then into the third one. And the third book in that series is the type of book that you either love where it goes or you hate it and you think the first two are the best. For me, I loved it. Although I do think Mr. Mercedes is my favorite, End of Watch is right up there with it. I loved it. I felt like although it stayed true to the crime fiction and Bill's story, it teetered into more of like Stephen King's horror, sci-fi, and I loved that aspect of it so much. I feel like it just brought more of the horror elements and almost like a combination of the two. I loved it. Definitely was a big bang to end out the trilogy. Holly is introduced into the first one, Mr. Mercedes, but she continues throughout that entire series. And Stephen King has said that he fell in love with Holly as a character as it continued, and he wanted to bring her back in The Outsider. I do have another clip of me talking about this in a previous vlog from this week, If It Bleeds, where I talk about briefly The Outsider and the short story If It Bleeds. So I will go ahead and let you guys see that now in case you missed that vlog. This takes place in Pennsylvania, and it is a school situation. A middle school has a bomb threat, and that is when authorities are called in to start researching it. But it goes so much deeper than that. It brings in Holly Gibney, and without giving too much away, The Outsider is, I think out of all of them, the most standalone, because half of the book is new faces, new characters taking on a case, and halfway through they call in Holly Gibney for help because they're dealing with this outsider, this type of being entity that is not human. And so we see a little bit of that. So it is kind of like a cosmic horror sci-fi moment going on with If It Bleeds. Pretty much it's another crime case for Holly Gibney to solve, and she's done this before. She's worked with this type of suspect before, that she kind of knows what she's doing but still seeks help. But what's nice about this one is you do get some familiar faces from the Bill Hodges trilogy, like Jerome, and I believe even his sister is in this. For me, being a Holly Gibney fan and loving the books previously, I ate it up. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked the overall standalone moment of it, but also featuring a character that like I personally really like. I know she's not everybody's cup of tea. If you didn't know, Holly Gibney is a autistic character of his who is very particular and such a unique character. And I just love having that type of representation in a novel. And it just does something to my heart that she's went from being a side character to a full-on main character in If It Bleeds, and even the novel Holly. I will have that vlog linked up above if you guys want to go check that out next for Stephen King week. But that is kind of my whole spiel on The Outsider and If It Bleeds. This is a short story collection, but one of them in here is the continuation right after The Outsider, which then takes us to Holly. This was his 2023? I believe. Yes, his 2023 book, Holly, and once again, he said that he had to write another story around Holly, and it is just another crime fiction story with Holly at the center of it. In King's new novel, Holly is her own, and up against a pair of unimaginably depraved and brilliantly disguised adversaries. She is described here as shy, but also brave and ethical, and like that is spot on to what Holly is. A woman calls Finders Keepers, which is the detective agency, hoping for help locating her missing daughter. Holly doesn't really know if she wants to take on this case or not. She's going through a lot in her life because this is all centered around COVID. It's a lot more of a heavier one since it was during the pandemic time, and I know that put off a lot of people who were not ready to revisit that time in our life. I feel like this will be such a hard-hitting one years to come when we look back at that time. This is another one where it kind of clues us in on who the bad guys are and like why they're doing the things that they are, and we're kind of being in their head. And I think I love that criminology side of this type of book that he writes too. They're always so vile and just disgusting. If you've read Mr. Mercedes and you know Brady Hartfield, then you know. But you kind of get in the mind of not only the detectives and Holly who are trying to solve these cases, but also you're getting into the mind of the criminal as well. And I just always found that so interesting in these books. I had a really good time with Holly. I loved having Holly Gibney back. But with that being said, like many others, I wasn't expecting a Holly book this year. I felt like we were probably going to get another horror since last year we got another short story collection. I thought this year would just be a new horror book, and he comes out with another Holly. I'm not complaining though. This is the book I'm jumping into today. I'm hoping to finish it today. I have projects to work on. I have things to do around the house. I am probably gonna go for a walk later because around 7, it's supposed to be like in the 70s, and I think it'll be just really nice outside. And I just want to take you guys along with me. Everything I said before, my history with Holly Gibney, is to tell you that this is a continuation. I feel like this is no longer a series like the Bill Hodges trilogy, but you need to read all of them before you get to this, because if you don't, this is going to spoil everything. I've already made it part of the way in, and it will spoil the Bill Hodges trilogy for you. It will spoil The Outsider for you. If It Bleeds, it'll spoil even Holly for you. You have to read them in that order to then get to this one. Although they all read as kind of standalone crime fictions, there is going to be spoilers, and I just feel like you'll get to know the characters so much more so that when Holly comes into play, you already know the type of person she is. Izzy, the detective in this, is the detective from the last one, Holly. So I briefly know of her. There's also Jerome, who is in the Bill Hodges trilogy, and his sister Barbara, who pop in to these stories as well. The character development there is so important for these stories, I feel like, although I do think you can enjoy them as standalones for crime fiction. So with that being said, I'm going to be starting Never Flinch. The dust jacket is coming off, and I am aiming to be as spoiler-free as possible with this, but we'll see how I go, because I feel like this is going to be really hard for me not to spoil things from past books, so I probably will for that, which is kind of just a given. But I'm going to try to be as spoiler-free as I possibly can with this, although this is the only book I'm reading for this vlog, so I also want it to be as entertaining as possible. So if anything, I hope that this is a read-along where you read the book along as I go, or you've already read it. If you're reading it along with me, I am going to read chapter 1 through 5, and I will be checking back in with you guys to let you know my initial thoughts. Already read chapters 1 through 5, so let's talk about it. First of all, we have characters reintroduced. We have Holly reintroduced, Izzy from the book Holly, who comes into play first thing. We also have Trig. So just like I mentioned in previous books, this is written in a style where we are going to be getting the culprit's POV, but I do like with this one that he is keeping it hidden from us readers as well. This is a suspect who is going by Trig, but this is his AA meeting nickname. So he goes to AA meetings, and we find out that he's having a really hard time because his buddy was framed for, I think I put child misconduct because I'm going to watch what I say here on YouTube. And while that guy was in prison, he was attacked and unalived. So since that was his buddy, and he is saying that it was falsely accused of doing these things and then attacked, he's mad. So he sends in a letter to the department, and Izzy, a detective, is brought into the case. It's actually what is kind of the back of the book, if you've looked at this, to Lieutenant Lewis Warwick from Bill Wilson. So he's calling himself Bill Wilson. I think there should be a corollary to the Blackstone rule. I believe the innocent should be punished for the needless death of an innocent. Should those who caused that death be put to death themselves? I think not, because then they would be gone and the suffering for what they did would be at an end. This is true even if they acted with the best will in the world. They need to think about what they did. They need to rue the day. Does that make sense to you? It does to me, and that is enough. I will unalive 13 innocents and 1 guilty. Those who cause the innocent to die will therefore suffer. This is an act of atonement. Bill Wilson. He brings in Izzy, who then brings in Holly, because she's like, Holly's mind is always working, is always cracking these cases, so like, I'm gonna bring her brilliance in. Holly, of course, gets invested, and you know, she's working like these little minor cases of like theft and stuff like that, so she's like, yeah, you know, I'll look into this, and her mind starts churning. We do get an update about Holly and how she is managing life, and a little bit on Jerome and Barbara, who are now authors. Jerome writes books, and he actually is going to start writing one about a private detective, which is cool. And we know that Barbara writes poems. We also know that there is a musician coming to town for a show that Barbara is really excited about and wants to bring Holly along with her. This format is already jumping around quite a bit. It's building the case, jumping from Izzy's point of view as a detective to Holly's point of view as a private investigator looking into the case, also a little bit of her personal life, but also we're jumping to our Trig, or Bill Wilson, who is committing these crimes. I've already gotten to 3 crimes out of the 14 that he is saying he's going to commit. And on top of that, we also are getting these chapters sprinkled in between from the point of view of a woman who is working as an assistant for a feminist activist who is traveling, like touring and doing speeches and that type of ordeal, but she is getting hate. It's very pop culture. I don't think that's the right term here, but it's very current for our day and age, and women fighting for their rights, women fighting for their equality, and the backlash and hate that they get, and even like the hate crime because her assistant, who looks similar to her and is wearing her hat, is attacked prior to like her, you know, starting and going on tour with this lady. And so she sees firsthand what her boss is standing up for, and what her boss is talking about is already getting this backlash and this hatred, and not being able to have the freedom of speech to do so, and it is continuing. And so we're kind of having this like parallel moment of the main focus case, but also this other case on the side. It's a bit confusing at times, jumping back and forth, because I'm trying to stay so invested in both. But I do know that he has a way with intertwining things in his crime fiction books, so I'm excited to see where that goes. Be selfish. I might be fucked down, bracing for the countdown. I know I can't sleep with what I found. It's all I think about. I miss my luck, can you take it on? How luck can I get with the megaphone? Take 5 1 sec, can we put it off? Can't catch my breath, I can't feel anymore. Don't need your anesthetic, I'll just push record. That's all I'm good for. Once again, please do not mind my washer and dryer in the background if you can hear it. I'm pretty sure the last time I was filming a clip, it was on the final spin, and now it's on the final spin again, and it's loud. But I am back after reading a few more chapters. So this time I read chapter 6 through chapter 10. And I'm really enjoying myself. It is very spot on to a crime fiction. One thing I think I forgot to mention last time was that we're also getting the POV of the person who is going after Kate, the like activist, and is heavily against abortions and is kind of using this like religion standing ground for that, and wanting to go against her and ultimately wanting to try to hurt her. But yeah, that was a point of view that I left out, but it has continued even throughout these chapters. This book is also broken down like all of his books that are in like the Holly Gibney world, where a chapter, let's see if I can show you. There's chapter 6, and then you see the 1, and then 2. So it's sectioned off like that, where there's like little chapters in each big chapter, if that makes sense. More of the plot kind of forming together. There's been more attacks. The Holly has put Izzy, the detective, on to looking into the jurors who put this guy's friend away falsely. You know, he was falsely accused, but then the jurors are the ones who picked his fate pretty much. And so that is 12 jurors, and then you have the judge on top of that, and then you have the is it like the prosecuting attorney, so that's 14, which would be the 14 that he has mentioned in his letter. So in place of them, he is going to unalive 13 innocent in their place, and then 1 guilty. So it's kind of making them start to question, like, is one of them going to be a target as the guilty one, but also knowing that that's kind of what he's framing all of his other victims around, is one for each of their lives, pretty much. It's been pretty interesting so far. I think it also helps that there is dual plots kind of going on and they're starting to mesh together a little bit. Holly is still very invested in the case. Obviously, Izzy, that's like every time we're in her point of view, she is working the case. We're still getting the POV from Frigg, the guy doing these things, and his brutal attacks. But we're also getting, I guess, two side things going on. So the concert that's taking place that's kind of involving Barbara, because Barbara is now going to be singing with them. That is Jerome's little sister, if you're familiar with these books. And they're friends with Holly. She originally got tickets to the concert to take Holly with her, and now she's going to be performing in it. And where this Kate activist comes in is because they're going town to town and they're getting these threats. So her assistant is like, look, I got attacked. Like, we have to have some type of bodyguard. And so they try out a police officer, but then for them, like, now they're getting backlash because they're against police brutality and stuff like that. But it's like, oh, but it's okay for them to have police because they're being threatened. So now they're like, we need to have a woman as kind of like a bodyguard. And since they're in the area, she looks up, I think Corey is her name, the assistant's name. She looks up Holly, and Holly agrees to be this person. And she has an eye for like catching the little details, like if somebody is watching them, and if she's already trying to piece the clues together to figure out who this person is that's targeting her, while also still being very invested in the original case. I can see where this would lead me to start being a little bored, or the book would go by so much faster if it wasn't for all of these like little side plots as well. And the fact that they're already kind of meshing together is kind of cool, and I'm sure it's just going to continue to go together as I go. There's been a couple confusing things for me, but it's pretty laid out with having all of those points of views. You just have to really be able to keep up with it. But I'm having a great time. And I've been checking out the audiobook when I don't have time to sit down and actually read it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's narrated by Jesse Mueller, and then apparently the afterword is read by Stephen King. But I'm really enjoying it. I, for the most part, always love his narrators, but there's a couple that like I sometimes don't really like listening to them for like super long books. And for a Holly book, I really like that it's narrated by a woman, and it feels like most of the characters in this book are women, like the ones that we're following for the most part, besides like the antagonist. We have our protagonist, you know, we have not only Holly and Izzy, but we also have a little bit of Barbara and also this Corey and Kate. So there's a lot. It's very women heavy, and I'm loving that aspect though. So I think it's a nice touch that it is a female audiobook narrator. With that, I have gotten my video for today edited, and it's uploading right now. So I need to do the description box and thumbnail and all of those things. I've taken my photos for my Instagram post, but I haven't posted it yet, so I need to get to that. We have a couple like other things that I need to get done, so I don't know how entertaining the next clip B-roll is going to be. But as you guys could see in the previous B-roll, I've also been working on a blanket. I have so many baby blankets to get to for the end of this year, and this is one of them. I'm making quite the progress on this one today, and I'm on my last skein of yarn I have for this, so I'm going to try to at least finish this out today and see if that completes my blanket, or if I need to go back tomorrow and get another one or two of these if they have any more in stock. but pretty decent way already. I don't know how much bigger I want to make it since it's a baby's blanket, but it's so soft and pretty. But I am hoping to check some stuff off my list in this next portion as I read. I'm going to be reading, I think, chapters 11 through 15. So I feel like I'm going to start getting to an area where it's going to feel a little bit more spoilery to talk about it, because I feel like I've laid the groundwork for a review slash synopsis for you guys, besides just giving you guys my final thoughts and review rating. So the rest of this will probably start being very spoilery.
Hate this, but I don't wanna go home. Focus 2 hours left in your Netflix show. Over attachment, can you even let shit go? We're obsessing about right now, but I think it's the best if we end somehow. Never knew what you wanted, cause you never told me nothing. Interview if you want it, you can kill me if I'm bluffing. Would you love me for the rest of my days? If you knew every time I lie just by the look on my face. Are we a 10-minute love song that we're playing in Nissan? No, we don't need to be one. No, we don't need to be one.
They're like, oh, there you go again. Are we modified? I know we can make this work. 20 missed calls, oh yeah, no string, no problem, baby. Please don't hit my phone, I'm in bed. Let me spiral in the hall till I'm dead.
Was it something that I said? If it wasn't really sorry, I get caught up in my head. Cause you put me in your plans, had to lay it in my bed.
So don't mind any messes in the background. This is still almost a year in the house and my office is still under construction. I've been slowly working on it again, but there might be a little bit of an echo, and there might be messes behind me, and that's okay. Some of my ivy has fallen. It's a whole moment. This check-in is actually going to be rather quick because, first of all, you guys, I hung my Derry poster. Look how cool it is. You guys probably could see it better in the other clip. It's so cool though. I'm gonna make this rather quick because I have my big camera and my arm is gonna break the longer I hold it. But this is the start of my horror wall officially, finally. I cannot wait to start getting more up on the wall and then to start on like my horror dollhouse. So many plans, I just have to get in the mindset to actually go through with them. But you guys, I made a checklist with my friend. I was like texting her and I was like, this is my checklist today. It's so intimidating, but like, this is how I thrive. And I'm actually barreling through quite a few of them, but like some of them I'm starting to realize I'm not gonna be able to get to today, and that is okay, we move on. I have made it to about 75% of the way into Never Flinch, and I'm enjoying it. I've made it to chapter 16, so I'm going to be doing chapters 16 through, let me see if I can set you guys down. Not do that. I'm not gonna judge the background, okay? Listen, I keep bringing boxes from storage to like go through. I also took apart my chair to redo it. Haven't gotten to it. I have stuff over there set up for like podcasting and all of that I've been trying to work on again. So it is what it is for right now. I wanted to show you guys my Derry poster. This is for Derry, the show that's coming to HBO Max, which is really cool. I think it's maybe next month. I don't know. Anyways, I'm enjoying my ride with this. I definitely think I'm in the mood for it today, but I have to say, as far as I've read so far, it hasn't been anything unique or special, but I'm still enjoying it. I don't feel like I'm going to say this is the best crime fiction book ever, but I can say I'm enjoying seeing where Holly's at and seeing her take on another case. And I do think it's funny that I talked earlier about liking Law and Order and CSI and stuff like that, and then, you know, the Detective Izzy in this was like, it's like those CSI shows where like the people aren't overworked and they're just getting one case at a time and it just magically all comes together so fast, and it's not like that. in real life. And I thought that that was kind of funny. We still are just jumping from all of these different point of views. At sometimes I felt like my head started spinning, but I feel like I'm really getting the hang of it, even mainly listening to the audiobook. I am getting the hang of every single thing going on. I know exactly what is happening, who is talking. I feel like he did a really good job. I think physically reading this, it would be easier, but I feel like he wrote it in a way that is great for audiobook too, because of the mentions that this has of making sure you know exactly who you are reading about or listening about. And I love that because it's been a lot easier to follow, a lot more manageable with the things that I have going on and wanting to listen to the audiobook. We have kind of reached a point to where I don't know how much more can be dragged out. So I don't know if the ending is just going to be a little wordy, a little bit over the top, or what it's going to be. It almost is reminding me of, I think it was the first, Mr. Mercedes, and there kind of being an event, which is like the big bang at the end. And if you've read that, then you know. And I'm getting that vibe. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Have this big like concert thing coming up, so it's just kind of giving me deja vu of that, and it's almost like I kind of wish it was something different, but at the same time I can really appreciate the Black voices that he has. That's been a big part of this story, and in doing so it's also brought back so much more for the characters of Jerome and Barbara, which I really like. I also can appreciate the LGBTQ plus representation, even if it's not the representation that like we want, it being the antagonist. But what I can say is that I recently went to V.E. Schwab's book tour, and they were talking about how they've been toying with this idea of having a lesbian vampire book. They wanted to make them toxic and maybe not very likable, maybe even the antagonist. And then they were just like, no, I can't do that. And they kept putting the story off and just pushing it away, the back of their mind, until finally they were like, you know what? Like, if we're gonna fight for equality and we're gonna fight for the rights for every human and to be noticed and made important in every single aspect, like, why not? Like, there's going to be gay antagonists too. It's not just going to be the straight ones that are. And I don't know about you, but like, I sometimes love the antagonist in books, especially V.E. Schwab books. Maybe not as much Stephen King, but my battery died, so I had to bring you guys upstairs with me anyways. The lighting isn't too much better because it's starting to get darker earlier, which is exciting, but filming long vlogs like this, the lighting starts to get a little scary. So I love that that representation is out there, and although no, I'm not really loving this antagonist, at the same time I like what he's doing with the character, and I can't speak for that community when it comes to how it's being portrayed, but I feel like he's going about it in a way with somebody who is really hurt, really damaged, and never really had the chance to figure themselves out. And even if there aren't, I mean, I feel like the tendencies are probably there and just, you know, triggered to the forefront more after the devastation happened. It's still just kind of, I think in a way it's showing how a person who could be gay or trans, like, tackle that coming from a strict religious background and trying to figure that out and being so confused, and still as an adult being so confused because of their upbringing, that strict mentality of like, this is who you are and there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, and that being forced upon you. And I don't know, like, I feel like it's opening up to a lot of conversations there with this very problematic but also very damaged individual. With that being said, I also am loving the female forefront. I love that it is showing that although there is this feminist activist that we have at the forefront, we're also seeing her flaws. We're seeing that she's not perfect, although she's fighting for what she thinks is right. And others are backing her up, but also still pointing out her flaws. And I really like that too. I feel like there's so much intertwined in this. And like I mentioned earlier, pop culture. I do feel like these are his books. These Holly books and crime fiction books are his books where he gets to kind of maybe let off some politics steam in a way. Like I feel like he always mentions something that's currently going on. I feel like with Holly there was a lot of mentions with Trump because he was writing the book back during COVID and quarantine and all of that, and then now this is kind of like the current state of things. So it's like we're touching all of these big topics. We have the feminists talking about like the abortion bans and all of those things, wanting equal rights and to not go back to the way things were before. You have these hateful people that are coming and like storming their events and saying like women should be in the kitchen, and it's just that type of vibe. You also have comments of Trump back in office, and I think he tread lightly with what was said, but it's still kind of a nod at how things have been going. Now that I'm back upstairs, I can tell you that I'm going to now read chapters 16 to 21. I have a shelf to build. The Rotel was excellent. We did some end of the summer, like, I don't know, stuff that we don't want to do, like some cleaning up outside because we're about to get a bunch of rain. And we were hoping to get the pool down today, but that didn't happen. We at least have it draining, but it's like supposed to rain for like 6 days in a row, so joy. It'll be even longer before we can get it down. But the weather after that's supposed to be really nice, so it's like maybe we'll enjoy taking it down in like fall weather anyways. But yeah, those things weren't very fun to film, so I didn't. I am gonna start kind of chilling out for the rest of the night. I'm going to continue listening to the audiobook because I'm really enjoying that. And I've been putting off the shelf for so long. James bought the shelf for his office at work, so it doesn't match my furniture in my bedroom, and then he didn't need it. So he gave it to me, and I was like, it doesn't match my black shelves in here. It doesn't match our black furniture in our bedroom that we're kind of like trying just to go to all black furniture at this point. So we got like wood looking contact paper, and I've been contact papering the entire shelf, and oh my god, as soon as I started I was like regrets, but I've already started working on it. I'm losing nail polish. I'm probably gonna break some nails. But it's been a beast. I've been working on it for the past couple of months, and I'm just like, I don't have time to go for my walk because it's getting dark, and I don't want to walk in the cemetery after dark. You're not really even supposed to. And it's raining. That was wild how that just started a downpour. Yeah, I'm going to build a shelf instead and call it a night. I'm going to finish it up, try to get to chapter 21 so I can check in with you guys again.
But I can't waste my time instead. Would you love me for the rest of my days? If you knew every time I lie just by the look on my face. Are we a 10-minute love song that we're playing in nissan? No, we don't need to be one. No, we don't need to be one. But I can't waste my time instead. Would you love me for the rest of my days? If you knew every time I lie just by the look on my face. Are we a 10-minute love song that we're playing in nissan? No, we don't need to be one. No, we don't need to be one.
I know I normally get on here and I'm like, I look like a hot mess, but like, I really look like a hot mess now. I don't know what's going on with my makeup today. I literally just used this eyeliner like 2 days last week, no issues, and today it's acting almost like an eyelash glue, like it's sticky, so it keeps sticking to like my hooded lids, and I just have to keep wiping away the black residue. I look like a hot mess. During this next reading sprint, if you will, I'm going to take my makeup off. I'm gonna mask, do my night skincare routine, so this is all coming off. Not late, but it's bedtime. You might be able to hear my kids' TVs. I think we're all just going through the Sunday scaries at this point, and nobody wants to go to sleep, although James is already snoozing. Oh, my bad. I read to chapter 21, so I was supposed to read chapter 21 too. I didn't. My bad. So I will be reading chapter 21 to the end next. But still, I'm at this bookmark. So like barely anything left, and there's even the afterword left. I have a second bookmark in here because there was a part I wanted to read with you guys that I really like too. It kind of piggybacks off of what I said in the last clip. It talks about how some of these churches have organized under the collective banner of AOG, Army of God. 3 of them, 2 churches in Tennessee and 1 in Alabama, warranted police involvement because of FACE violations. The freedom of access to clinic entrances. Protesting was fine, shouting insults at the women entering was also fine, although in Holly's opinion it shouldn't be. Pictures of dismembered fetuses were okay, blocking the entrances and showers of blood, fake or otherwise, were not. Following various links embedded in the news stories, Holly discovered that since Dobbs vs. Jackson Women's Health, those 3 clinics have been shuttered away, so she supposes the pro-lifers can chalk that up as a win. In Idaho, members of Christ the Everlasting Redeemer lay down in front of drag parade, while other members bless the parade marchers with seltzer water. Instead of calling the seltzer water blessings, they called it third-degree assault. Also in Idaho, just a month later, members of the same little church were arrested for vandalizing a library that was rumored to be a meeting place for PEDs belonging to the Q organization. In upstate New York, a women's clinic was firebombed. No one died, but 2 patients and a nurse were badly burned. The investigation ongoing. So far, no arrest made. Is on a website called Religion, Good and Bad. The stories concerns a melee involving 20 or so demonstrators from Real Christ Holy and a dozen or so women, Brenda's bitches, who counter-protested on motor scooters. Although Real Christ Holy is based in northern Wisconsin, the protest occurred in Pennsylvania. Now the property of Real Christ Holy, an AOG-affiliated church, the members of Real Christ Holy have protested in plenty of states on Stewart's money, not just Pennsylvania. In one case, 4 members of the church were arrested and charged with assault while protesting at a clinic in Florida. This was a year before the kerfuffle with Brenda's bitches. Holly finds an article about it in the Pensacola News Journal. 4 charged in fake acid attack at Sarah Waters' clinic. I love how he's tying in, it's almost feeling like a religious horror vibe, but sadly, like, this is real life horror that's going on. And I feel like every time there's something going on in our country, the United States, that is, how to tread lightly here. Let's say something happens that makes more so Republican, more so MAGA, more so conservative, more so religious people angry. They are the first to spout out, look, this happened, but you don't see us rioting in the street. And it's one thing and like once a blue moon. Whereas the everyday struggle that people of color, people from the LGBTQ plus community go through every single day, and they act like they're just supposed to take it. And us as allies are supposed to just be like, it is what it is, over and over again. And it's like, do you now understand that why when your once in a blue moon situation happens, for instance, the way things are right now, and we're once again saying, yeah, the GUN violence in the world is not great. Like, our country is so messed up with the laws for that. And we've been saying this for years upon years upon years. Look at all of that type of violence that we're seeing in schools with our most innocent. Like, it's another book that's hitting so close to home, but on purpose, because in a way it is hard to read these books during the times that they're being written, the same as COVID and quarantine, like I mentioned, to now seeing, like, reading this but being like, yeah, this is the reality of things. I'm not one to point my finger and say, yeah, all of you, but it's the fact that you're pointing your finger at all of the others that don't agree with you and saying all of you. These are your people. The things that are being said in this book that I just read, these things are actually happening. Like, they're out there speaking the gospel and, like, using their religion views as, like, their agenda, but at the same time spewing hate, committing hate crimes. Like, it's... ugh. I could rant on for days and days, because you know what? Books, at the end of the day, there is politics in books. Books are also ways to be able to feel heard, be able to feel seen, and to be able to, yes, escape reality, but sometimes to face it head on and see that there's people in your corner who are looking at this the same way. Because right after what I read, Holly mutters, "Holy shit." I'm right there with you. Holy shit, I can't believe this is going on. This feels so much more nonfiction than fiction, and that's the scary part of this book. Moving forward from that, I didn't really mention much from the Bill Wilson culprit that we're after in the last check-in, because it was so heavy on the other one in that section that I read. But they are still looking for this guy. They have now cracked it down to even the name, and I feel like there's so much going on in the story at this point that it's getting to a part where it's kind of hard to say too much besides they're still after them. They still have not caught them, but they have leads. If you're reading along with me, or you've already read this, then you probably know about where I'm at. It is still kind of setting up the same as Mr. Mercedes, which I think in a way could be like a full circle moment and kind of be cool, especially if this is his last Holly book. But at the same time, I still kind of wanted something different. I think that's all I wanted to say for this check-in. I rambled a little more than what I intended to, but real life horror sucks. I just want horror in my books, okay? Anyways, I finished my bookshelf. Oh my god, their TVs are so loud. I hope that you guys can't hear that. It's so loud. Okay, I'm just gonna try to barrel through. Finish my bookshelf. Isn't it cute? It's just, I don't have it where I'm gonna put it yet, obviously. I just set it up in front of my closet. My cats were so annoying though, like while trying to build it. They kept setting on the instructions. They kept hitting, like, I would have like a screw sitting there and one of them would hit it with their paw and it would go flying across the floor. The shelf is missing one screw. I can't find it. I'll find it at some point, I'm sure. But it's put together. I like the look of it. It's not perfect. There's imperfections, but it is what it is. It's just going to sit on my side of the bed in our room, and it's gonna be my TBR shelf. So I'm so excited. Maybe tomorrow, or I don't know, at some point I'm gonna go through my shelves. I'm also gonna move, I think, my library books to that shelf too, but I just want it to be my shelf that, like, I wake up every day and I look at and I'm like, what am I reading today? This is my current TBR that I want to pick up next. So, like, which one is it today type of ordeal, you know? So it's going to constantly, like, keep changing, and once I've read them, I'll put them back on my shelves in here. But I'm excited. I think it's cute. And it's another piece done for our bedroom, so I can move things around again. And I didn't get my walk-in, but I built the shelf officially that I've been working on for months. So that's a win in my book. I have just a little bit left of this to go, so I'm gonna go do my skincare, finish reading, try to get these kiddos to sleep. I'm also getting down to the very last bits of my last skein that I have of this yarn for this blanket. So I'm going to try to just do the rest that I have on this end, but I've done almost all of this today. It is looking so cute. It almost has like a little camo vibe to it, but it's all neutral colors and just so pretty. I hope they love it. I have a couple of like loose strings to tie in, and I like want to wash it. I'm trying to keep like my cats off of it every time I work on it, but they keep, she's so, especially Salem, she's so used to sitting with me while I'm crocheting that it's like a habit now, and she does not understand that like you can't sit on this blanket, and I have to keep shooing her away. But I am gonna wash it, and then I think just like roll it up and maybe like tie a ribbon on it, you know? I think it'll be cute, but I can't decide. I feel like, you guys can't hardly see it, but I feel like I might need another skein of yarn. I think it needs one more. It is a little wonky too. Like this end is a little bit shorter, like the edges. I don't do blankets often enough for it to be perfect. This side's not bad. It is what it is. It's made with love. But yeah, I'm gonna keep listening. I'm going to finish what I have left of this. That'll be another thing off my list.
Stop staring, be quiet. Look at me, there I go, choking on my silence. And I don't think you want me cause I wanna keep it private. And I don't think you know me if you're not one of my 5 friends. But it's my own fault, I can't give in. I have to go, stuck up on the top. My interest in my grab though, too many kind foes. The reason I struggle because I'm fucking shy. I never wanna show my face sometimes. And I got trouble looking people in the eye. Cause when I do I just forget off. And when I do it I'ma feel like I'ma die.
And back where I started, just looking a lot different. I'm gonna make this short and sweet because it's after midnight. This last part took a lot longer than expected. Between wrangling kids to bed, wrangling cats. I did do the dishes, I did take care of the litter box. Ugh. I did finish my blanket as far as I possibly could go. You guys might have seen in the clip, I literally got to the tail end. I am gonna need another skein of yarn, unfortunately. But I need to go pick some up tomorrow anyways. Besides my walk that I didn't get to and I built the shelf instead, the only thing I really didn't get to today besides that I wanted to get done was some journaling. So I will have to do some of that tomorrow as well. But the last 2 things was finish up this video and finish this book, and I did both. I guess I am doing both right now. Oh, I almost could give this book 5 stars for all of the messaging behind it, although I am landing at a 4-star. This isn't perfect for me. I don't think that the Holly Gibney books have ever been perfect for me. I think that they have kind of landed in more of like the 4-star range. I will always love his horror at the end of the day, but I love these little books in between that he does to showcase real life horrors and to bring them to light, to kind of show his opinion on them through his characters that are loved, and to, in a way, bring awareness and to show that there are politics in books. And it's also nice to just see an author who isn't afraid to just put it how it is in books. And there is many out there. I'm just stating he is one of them. And I absolutely love that. The ending of this book is a lot. It definitely is this is happening and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening, and it's all intertwining, and I feel like it wrapped up in a way that was cool. I feel like the last bit really was great. Everybody kind of getting involved, but then it kind of starts to feel a little unrealistic because everybody's there at the right time and everybody, you know, can take part in this. It's not just one hero in this, you know. Obviously there is a lot of deaths in this book, but there is still those like happy ending moments and Holly kind of just going on with her life. And, you know, will this be the last time we get to visit with Holly is what I wonder. Stephen King recently has mentioned how he is planning his last book. I know that he's writing the 3rd book of the Talisman and the Black House. He wrote them with Peter Straub. Peter Straub is no longer alive, unfortunately. So he is writing the third one kind of in his honor. So I believe that's supposed to be his next book, but I think he's talking about one more after that, maybe. I don't know. But he said, I think in an interview, that he's getting older and he feels his memory is kind of going here and there. So it's getting harder for him to really focus on writing. So it's about time he chooses what his last book is going to be before he retires from writing. And it's super sad. But I also feel for the guy. He's been writing for so many years. I am in fact landing at 4 stars with this. And I did want to mention a couple more things to kind of back up the little tangent rant I did in the last clip. One of the last conversations that was had, one of them says, "You know what, Holly, I think the religions of the world are responsible for a shit pot of trouble." And I couldn't agree more. I also loved the afterword. He talked about how this went through a lot of rewrites because he was going through a surgery to repair a damaged hip, and after writing the first one, his wife Tabitha said, it could be better. After thanking all the people that kind of helped with this book and, you know, all the publishing background work, he also said, last but hardly least, here's a list, sadly incomplete, of those supporters of women's rights to choose who have been murdered for doing their duty. He goes on to list them, which I will actually take a picture and show you guys, starting all the way from 1994 in Pensacola, Florida, all the way up to 2015, when a couple people were unalived when they accompanied their friend to a Planned Parenthood clinic. He then goes on to say, however you feel about abortion, one fact is indisputable. These people were murdered for their beliefs. That time we live in. And I feel like if somebody ever said politics shouldn't be mixed with books, I will say, have you read Never Flinch by Stephen King? Anyways, I am wrapping up today's video, which I fear is going to be rather long, but thank you so much for joining me today for this little read along. If you read it, please let me know your thoughts, maybe what rating you gave it. What are some of your takeaways from it? Do you enjoy his type of books that are like this or not? I know it's very mixed feelings, but one thing I think that the majority of Stephen King readers, whether you like these or not, I bet you can appreciate the work he puts in of making these hard topics shine in these books, and bring them to the forefront. And, you know, someone who has just continued to put politics in his books. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to bed. I am so tired. And I will see you guys in hopefully one more vlog this week. It is going to be a hard one to tackle this week. I hope that I have it in me to get through for you guys. Stay tuned, and I'll see you then.
My friends, but it's my own fault. I can't give in. I have to go. Took up on the top. Interest in my grab though. Too many confoes.